Coach, I guess just talk about Southern Illinois coming in here and what that's going to be like after what they did last time when you all played.
Yeah, last time that was a big turning point for our season, I think, conference season. So our players are pretty fired up to play this game. I mean, in a sense, it's kind of a payback, revenge game. So for me as a coach, I'm just trying to manage our emotions and make sure we're not too high. And then sometimes when you get too high, you can come out flat. But I like that they have a lot of emotion behind this game and energy already.
And the energy comes off of that great road trip. Just kind of what did you digest from that road trip? Of course, it's in the past, but what do you take away from it?
Yeah, I mean, I was proud of how we played. I mean, those were two hard games on the road. And obviously our rival Drake, and they almost sold out the place. So just for us to go in there with that kind of poise and just maturity and be that competitive and make a statement, really, when we were during that game when we got up big. I mean, they made a run at the end and came back, but I just liked our resiliency in that game. And UNI was a tough one as well. Mm-hmm. So I just think, since the SIU game, I think we've been playing better, especially defensively. So every game, I think we've gotten better and better. So with this game, I would like to see our defensive intensity from the beginning as well, because that's what we were lacking when we played at their place. And they just punched us in the mouth, and we just never really recovered. So I want to see us come out and be super competitive on that side of the ball.
You've talked about that complacency that they had before that Southern Illinois game. Just kind of what's the biggest difference you kind of see between before that first game and right now?
I think the biggest difference is just us paying attention to detail a little bit more, personnel, the defensive game plan, because we scored the ball pretty well. Even when we had that little drought, as far as our numbers and scoring-wise in the first 5 games, we still were winning. But after that SIU game, I think we just started playing better defensively. Before it was just kind of like sometimes, like we'd have great possessions. We wouldn't play a full game of defense. So that's what I think has been the major difference. I mean, like I said, we've always been a high-powered offensive team. Doesn't matter like what the numbers are. We still put up, a lot of points on the board. But I think that has to continue to get better. We had a little bit of a scoring drought in the first half of UNI, but we picked it up in the second half. Drake, I thought we did really well against the zone the whole time. But, SIU is aggressive, and they have a really strong 5. Their starting 5 is pretty good, and they get after it. They deny. They did some things last game that disrupted our offensive flow. So, offense is equally as important as defense, but defense is going to win us the game.
Needed to ask you about Sydney Manning and just talk about the versatility and the many hats that she wears for your team.
Yeah, Sydney Manning, she's obviously playing a lot more point guard than she was in the first half of the season, but she's just a kid that will come out there and just do what you need her to do. If you need her to be a little bit of a facilitator, she can do that, or a shooter, scorer. And she's not just a shooter. She can actually get downhill and create a little bit. So I like her maturity as the season has been going on, and I think the Drake game was kind of like her coming out game. And after that, she started playing a lot more point guard. So just, spelling Bryce at times at that position. But, I like where she's at. I would like to see her be a little bit more aggressive offensively. She waits around a little bit until you need her. And if she can just come out, when she gets subbed in out of the gates offensively strong, I think it'll help us.
It was nice to see the depth on the team, because there was a spell there where Alexa wasn't hitting her shots, but the team was able to step up, and it seemed like the Lady Bears didn't miss a beat.
Yeah, our bench played great. Ellie played great. Mm-hmm. Obviously, Manning, we just talked about her, but Wilson, one of our starters right now. Now, Wilson is really helping us. She's just such a hybrid player. She plays the 3 and the 4. She can shoot it. I mean, she has the best percentage on our team from the 3-point line, but then she can also get downhill and she can post up a little bit. So she's a problem to guard for people, but then she's also probably our second best defender next to Bryce, and sometimes she's one of our best defenders, just depending on who she's guarding. But I think she stepped up big time in that game, just all around. But also Emily off the bench. We have so many people, and like that's what I was saying. Being a high-powered offensive team, it's almost like you pick your poison when you play us. You never know whose night it's going to be. So Willie struggled, I guess you could say, during the course of the game, but she's a huge reason why we won the game, hitting about, I think it was 8 free throws in the last minute or so. So, she stepped up and she did what seniors do.
You just figure that there'll be a nice crowd coming out there on Saturday. Just how fun has it been to kind of see that crowd grow bigger and bigger throughout the season?
It's been awesome, and obviously with the history of this place and back in Hammond's days, and it's, this community loves basketball, period, but they love, the Lady Bears. So just to see them just kind of get behind the team again and everybody, the buzz around town about it, it's just been awesome to be a part of that. And I think it means a lot to our players, and it's really helped us get over the hump in some games, like maybe the energy's low or something like that, and the crowd gets into it. Even this past weekend at UNI and Drake, we had a bus load of people come, and it helped us, know, because they had a lot of fans, and for us to have our own section really sparked us.
I need to ask you a couple questions about specialty awards at the end of the thing. Talk a little bit about possible player of the year, defensive player of the year from your team. I mean, who do you think? I mean, obviously you got Alexa, Jasmine, Bryce. Just talk a little bit where you think everybody mixes in with that.
I mean, that's hard to say, you know, because we have so many people. Obviously, I think, you know, her senior year, Willie, you know, deserves to be player of the year. I think she's played very consistent throughout the year, and she's proven that she's one of the best players in this conference, and she's helped us win so many games. So I think she deserves it, honestly, and I think Bryce is also another person that could get it. But what I think Bryce should get is obviously a first team selection, but also defensive player of the year, because she just brings so much energy and intensity and focus on that side of the ball. But offensively, she's just as good as anybody in this conference. But I would like to see her get defensive player of the year and obviously first team. I think Jazz should get first team. You know, I don't know how they do 6-man, but Abby didn't start the whole season, and she's starting right now. So for me, she would be like 6-man. And, you know, so I think Wilson should be on defensive team. So we have multiple people I think that can make a team. I don't know how people are going to vote. You know, you can't give us everything, but honestly, people have proven that they deserve those spots.
I'm doing a story for the pregame show for the tournament on the candidates for the specialty. Do you think that the team that wins the conference championship should get these awards, or do you think maybe it could go to somebody else?
Well, hopefully we win the championship, so I think we deserve the awards, to be honest. But if we don't for some reason, then no, I don't think that. Honestly, I don't know. I've been in a bunch of different conferences where you see both. I mean, I just think whoever really deserves it and earned it throughout the year should get it. You know, obviously if they've helped their team win a championship, then that means a little bit more too.
That's what I was going to ask. Very good. Thank you.
It seems like a good problem to have when you can't really pick one to kind of win the Player of the Year award, right?
Yeah, I mean, it is a great problem to have, you know, but I do honestly believe that Alexa Willer has put in the work, and, you know, she deserves that, you know. I think she's just been tremendous all year. She's had a lot of big games, but she's been super consistent. She's our leading scorer. She deserves that, but a close second is Bryce. You know, Bryce deserves it too. And defensive player of the year, for sure, to me, is hands down. But I know sometimes that's statistical and all that stuff, so I don't know how they, you know, really look at that.
What does she do that you say hands down?
Bryce, you know, everybody that she plays pretty much has a bad scoring night, a bad shooting night, because she makes it so hard for them to get the ball. Every shot they take is tough, is contested. They have to really work to get their shots off. She does a good job of helping her teammates out. She's in the right position on the court. She's in help side when she needs to be. She's in her gaps when she needs to be. She does a good job of rebounding. I just think, you know, a lot of times when they pick those defensive player of the year or defensive team people, they look at, you know, steals, blocks, and like just stuff you can get off the stat sheet. You know, that's what traditionally people look at. And Bryce may not be leading the conference in some of those stats, but I know every coach does not want to play against her, you know. And then the close second to her is Wilson, you know. So I don't know exactly if they will get those awards. To me, they deserve them.
Just from hearing you name off names, it's just a whole bunch of youth as well. Just how have you thought, like, how excited you can be for the kind of the future of this program as well throughout all this, with some of those players stepping up?
Yeah, for sure. You know, you think about that as, especially because you're recruiting. You're always recruiting for the next class. But I do think that we could be good. You know, we have a lot of talent here, and we have a lot of talent coming in, and recruits that we're in the mix with now. But at the same time, you know, you don't know. You just kind of focus on the season you're at, and then after the season, especially when it's recruiting season, you really kind of dive into that. But you know, when you see like younger kids have a breakout game, like whether it's Bryce or Ellie or Emily. You know, obviously Jazz has had a bunch of breakout games, but any of those kids, then it's like, wow, you know, future is really bright. You know, this kid is a sophomore, or this kid is, you know, whatever. So I do think we have a lot of depth and young depth, so that's really promising.
When you look back at starting up, you put yourself in this position, you know, leading the conference, players of the year. Or you're like, I don't know what this team's going to be like?
Well, you know.
All right, let's go back August.
August? Okay, so August, I would say I would have put myself in this position with this team. I would have thought we were, you know, in the run for a championship. Yes. I wouldn't have thought our RPI was going to be where it is, and maybe a top 25 team, maybe. But I definitely thought that we would be in the run. I thought we'd win the championship, and I'm hoping we will. But the whole RPI and, quad wins and all that stuff, I definitely didn't think we would be where we are. Not that I didn't think we had the talent. It's just, it's pretty phenomenal what we've done.
And it's kind of backwards from what you're used to, at least in the Big Ten, where you have to get all your stuff early before you get into the conference.
Yeah, for sure. Yep. It's kind of, you flip-flop a little bit there because you just beat up on each other in conference, and, you have multiple ranked teams in conference and multiple high RPI teams. But, I think also the Valley is a historic year for the Valley has helped us as well, because beating Drake and beating UNI, who are both top 50 RPI teams, have really helped us in that area. And then some other teams too. We have about, I think, 6 or 7 in the top 100. So that's huge, because last year it wasn't like that. Right. So I think it was just like everything that kind of just came together for us this year, meaning our conference is way more competitive, and we had a competitive non-conference to kind of put us in a good position. So I think everything just kind of fell into place.
Kind of off of him, just when did it kind of dawn on you, like, hey, we're having a pretty special year, maybe we can host NCAA tournament rounds?
I think it was probably when we went to number 1 RPI, and that was somewhere around I think it was after South Dakota. I don't know where. I think when we started thinking like that, hosting, that came around the South Dakota win, somewhere around there. It was pretty early, probably like 6 games in, 7 games in, but we were like, wow, we're doing some pretty special things here in non-conference, and if we can keep this going, we're gonna have a shot at this. So it was probably halfway through non-conference season.
How giddy are the girls just thinking about that right now, because it's kind of a really special thing that could happen here?
I don't know if the girls think about hosting as much as they think about winning a championship, which is good. I want them to kind of focus on, let's cut down some nets, one game at a time. Right now it's SIU, so it's all about SIU, and then it'll be the next one. The hosting thing is, I think, a little bit bigger than they would have thought, and so they don't really completely grasp that idea. Like, they don't really talk about that much. That's more so conversations we have in the, coaches' offices, and we talk about it. They know it's a possibility, but they're just more so focused on winning a championship and getting to the NCAA, things like that.